watch a clock. I don't even have to watch a clock. I don't even have to watch a clock.
Well, hello! Welcome to the Bold Moves podcast. I am the host, Mandy Bryce. That makes this Bold Moves with Mandy Bryce. And this is episode number 99. I am super excited to get out of the double digits and into the triple digits this week. There should be some sort of celebration. Anyway, if you're new to the podcast, I don't always start with a crazy greeting like that, but I do always interview amazing people on Mondays who have inspirational, motivational stories of how they have stepped out of their comfort zones and closer to the lives of their dreams, which often impacts other people tremendously and positively. And this week is, of course, not an exception. I chatted with PK Kersey, who is over in New York and was introduced to me, found me because of my interview with Tyron Kuttner. Now, if you remember Tyron from a few weeks ago, he is the founder of the Well Dressed Academy, where he teaches gentlemen how to dress like gentlemen and how that impacts their lives in other ways. Now, since we were chatting suits and since Tyron shared his interview online, PK found me, and they have something in common, and that is suits. PK noticed in his time working for the DMV in New York that people who did not come dressed well for an interview were not as likely to get a job. And this bothered him to the point that he started his own nonprofit organization to help people get placed into jobs and learn interviewing and job skills, and then get the clothes that they need to land these interviews. It's so amazing what he's doing. So I'm not going to tell you anymore. I'm going to let PK take it away. Here he is. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bold Moves with Mandy Bryce. I am chatting with PK Kersey today, who has a really interesting background that I'm excited to share. Welcome, PK.
Thank you. Thank you from the West Coast. I'm happy to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you're all the way in Brooklyn, and you found me from my interview a few weeks back with Tyron. And you have sort of a similar focus in being well-dressed. Can you tell me a little bit about what exactly you do and the bold moves you've made?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I saw the interview with a friend of mine, Ty, and I said, well, let me look into this. Let me see what's going on. Basically, we're both in Brooklyn. We have a little different style. I actually was working for New York State Department of Motor Vehicle for over 25 years. And I was responsible for doing a lot of hiring. And I would notice that a lot of the guys would come in and they weren't dressed properly for the interview. And what would happen, they wouldn't get hired for the job. So I kind of felt bad. You know, these guys are coming in, they want to work, and they're not getting hired because they're not dressed properly. Mm-hmm. So I reached into my closet and I started giving away suits to guys who I felt needed them for interviews. And me and my brother, we did the same thing. And we started seeing that the guys who we gave suits to started getting hired. Their confidence grew. They looked better. They gave better interviews, and they started getting hired. So I decided to start an organization called That Suits You, where that's exactly what we do. We collect suits from law firms, cleaners, individuals who no longer wear them, and we give them to men who need them for interviews and for work. And then we also included the element of going into schools and colleges, teaching young guys about the importance of image and presentation.
That's really cool. So is that your full-time gig now?
Yes, I'm actually no longer with the state, and I'm actually doing this full-time. I find so much fulfillment in it, and just excited about this new path of my life.
That's really cool. So I know you're based in Brooklyn. How far does That Suits You reach?
Well, today, California.
And then people listen, even more, but
yes. Well, we've actually just this week, Hill Harper has a foundation in DC, and they reached out to us, so we were able to ship some shirts and ties to their foundation. We've also gone to Flint, Michigan, with the water crisis, and we kind of helped out with about 50 to 75 suits to their men in the area. And we've also donated to South Carolina, Atlanta, Dallas. So we actually, we're based in Brooklyn, but we've actually reached different parts of the country. So very excited about that.
That's really cool. So do you like fill up an RV full of suits and head to these places, or how does it work when you're going outside of Brooklyn?
Well, for Flint, actually, we packed it up, and their agency, the organization we work with, they picked it up and they transported it. So we either mail it, or the organization that we're partnering with, they take care of the transportation. So that it works out pretty well that way.
Very cool. So when you first started this, how did you handle giving the suit without seeming condescending or potentially insulting the person that you're trying to help?
Actually, that was a
Oh no, he's frozen. Shoot.
to come off as genuine. I wanted it to come off as something that made them feel better, not worse. So that was something I definitely wanted to focus on. And as it started, we just were humble. Our spirits were humble. We came across as genuine individuals who were trying to help, not as individuals who, made them feel bad. I've gone into stores, I'm quite sure we all have, where we felt the sales representative treated us improperly, and inappropriately. So we definitely didn't want to be accused of that, and that has never occurred. No one has ever felt that way. Actually, they feel grateful that we've taken the time to do this, and so it's been total opposite.
So how exactly, you cut out for a minute and I don't
Oh,
know
okay.
but how exactly do you approach these people, or did you before, and how has that maybe evolved over the course of, your organization becoming more than just you, or more than just you and your brother?
Right. Basically, we always started with partnering up with organizations that did some type of training. So we never have a one-on-one with the individuals. We go through
Okay.
an organization, and then that organization introduces us to their population. So
Even from the
someone,
beginning?
yes.
Okay.
So someone just can't come up to us and say, "Hey, I heard you give out suits. Can I get a suit?" They have to be part of a job training organization, a
Okay.
school or college, and we partner with that agency, and then we're invited to assist their clients. That works
Okay.
out much better. Yeah, it works out much better for us that way.
That makes so much sense, because for me, if I'm traveling, for example, if I'm giving leftovers, I always feel terrible leaving them at the table. But if you're staying at a hotel and you can't reheat it and eat it later, I don't want it to go to waste, but I
Right,
know I won't eat it. So I've kind of gotten in the
right, right,
habit
right,
of trying to hand off my leftovers if I'm in a big city to someone who's homeless, but sometimes it's hard if they're not asking for money for food. You don't want to
right, right,
assume somebody is
right, right, right,
needy
right, right,
and have them be
right.
insulted. So it makes sense that
Exactly,
you weren't
exactly.
just walking up to people like, "Oh, I think you could use some help with your wardrobe."
Yeah, yeah, that suit. Here, I have a better suit for you. Yeah, it's better.
If
This
you
way is better.
actually if you actually want to get a job, you may want to change.
Yeah, you're not wearing that to an interview, are you? That's not a good way to start up.
No, definitely not. So what kind of organizations have you partnered up with?
We've partnered up. Well, on the giving end, the organizations we give to, we've partnered up with Goodwill. We've partnered up
Okay.
with Salvation Army. We've partnered some in New York. I don't know if you know them. We've partnered up with FedCap. We partnered up with uh, Covenant House. We partnered up with um, AARP, the senior citizens. So we
Yeah.
have a lot of actual agencies that are doing a lot of good work. And the people that have donated to us, we've gotten donations from ABC, HBO, the
Wow.
NFL. Yeah, so we've gotten some nice donations, Macy's. So these organizations, they see the work that we're doing, and they want to help us and assist us. And we're always looking for new partners to help us to do the work that we're doing.
That's super cool. And you mentioned initially that like dry cleaners have also donated suits. Is that when people drop off their suit and never come back, or?
Exactly. After, I believe in New York, it's 90 days. So we first initially started with our friends and family. And then our
Yeah.
first outreach was to churches in New York area, because there's like a
Okay.
million churches in New York City. But we kind of had to be strategic with the churches in New York City, because, we would get Easter suits, orange suits, yellow suits,
I was
purple suits.
wondering.
So pin buttons, so we couldn't give those out. So we kind of now we go law firms and companies like HBO where they have executives and ABC. So those kind of work out a lot better.
That makes so much sense. Like you want to make sure that you're giving suits that it won't be comical for someone to wear to an interview, like Step Brothers.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
That's so cool. Tell me a little bit about the transition from this being a hobby while you worked for the state to this being, your full-time gig now.
Oh man, I was working for a motor vehicle for over 25 years, and I've actually been doing that sushi for about 4 years. So the 22nd and 23rd year of motor vehicle is when I tried to do both of them,
Uh-huh.
and I was able to, during lunch, after work, before work,
Mhm.
because I really saw how important the work was. But after a while, it became obvious that I didn't have the passion for motor vehicle that I had for something that I actually was a part of. And
Sure.
so I began to do this more and more until it just took over. With I had to, make the decision to actually do this for full time. And it's something that instead of working 9 to 5 motor vehicle, I work almost 20 hours a day doing something that you love.
Sure. And I bet it doesn't feel like work.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Um,
Exactly.
how do you find a way to pay yourself doing something in a nonprofit type setting?
Well, the doors that are opened up because of that suits you. I'm actually in the process of writing 3 books that from my experience of working in motor vehicle, from my experience of having this business, and mainly just meeting different individuals and making relationships, like meeting people like yourself who,
Sure.
I read your story and I see your path that you've taken, and it's just encouraging me to keep going out. And then I meet people who, they want to hear my story, so then they offer me to come speak at their schools, come speak at their college.
Sure.
So I went out thinking I'm going to help these guys get paid and get suited, and you wind up opening up doors for yourself where you wind up getting paid and making a nice living off what you love to do.
That's awesome. That's so I know that everyone who hears that is just going to be so inspired by that. So,
Yeah.
congratulations. Do
Thank
you
you. Thank you. Thank you.
So since you said you read my story, you know that I'm primarily a makeup artist. So I'm
Hmm.
curious how much that comes into play. I have a friend who owns a salon in Denver, and they have in the past done, haircuts and shaves for men who are homeless for the same intention of, obviously when you show up to a job interview and you're scruffy because you don't have the
Hmm.
resources to maintain your appearance, that sets you as a disadvantage. Do you know if the organizations you work with also provide that type of service as well, or are you just focused on the suit part?
Well, we started with the suit, but like I said, once you begin one path, you begin to see a lot of things open up. So we actually partnered up with a nail salon here in Brooklyn,
Okay.
who once a month they offered men manicure and a pedicure for their interviews. We partnered up with a hairstylist, a
Okay.
gentleman who cuts hair, and he provides free haircuts. And because of I began to meet different individuals and different men. it I mentioned I was writing a book. I've compiled like 25 to 30 men who during this journey that I've gone through have been a big part of it. So they're actually going to
Oh,
be in the book.
cool.
And the book is called Suited for Success. And we're going to be talking about our challenges, the struggles we face, but how despite all of those, we still pushed on to achieve some things in life. And I believe it's going to encourage a lot of people.
That's really cool. So you're going to have like their transformation stories of
Yes,
how that's amazing. How do
yes.
you know Ty, and how have you partnered together, or have you partnered together?
Yeah, I've met Ty at an event in Brooklyn. A friend of ours, Jeff Lindor, he's doing some amazing work, and I met Ty through Jeff, and me and him just kind of clicked off, being that we have similar interests.
Sure.
And he's actually going to be in the book as well,
Okay.
sharing his story. And so it's just when you meet certain people, sometimes some things click. Sometimes you
Yeah.
meet individuals and you'll say, "We'll work together, we'll do something," but you really don't. If it happens,
Right.
it happens. But
Yeah.
then there's some people there's some people when you meet you just know that there's something there. If we really work, we can really do something big. So that's how I felt when I met Ty.
Very cool. And now you're here.
Yes.
I love it. So you said you were writing 3 books because,
Yeah.
Most people don't write any, and why not do 3 all at once, right? So
It's funny. It's funny.
one is about your experiences at the DMV, which I want to go back to in a second. Another one is the transformative experiences of the people through that suits you. What's the third one?
The third one actually was a friend of mine. She's a very well-known female motivational, inspirational leader.
Okay.
Her name is Sade Adu, and she put on Facebook, "Hey, I'm looking for 25 amazing people to do a story with me, a collaboration, a book, and first 25 answer, we'll do it." So I answered, and I wound up being one of the 25. And the funny thing is, I'm the only man. So it's all female. So that gave me being a part of that, and that book should be out in a month or so. But doing that book gave me the idea to do the book for the men. I said, listen, all these women, y'all get together, you have conferences, you have events, you have teams, you have parties. I said, well, let me do something for the men. So we did that, and that book will be out beginning of next year.
Very cool. So I want to go to the DMV experiences. I've never heard of anybody, and mostly as consumers, look forward to going to the DMV. And usually it's because in general, it's a complaint about the level of customer service and the overall happiness of the DMV employees and how they treat all the people they see. So I don't know what your role was, what your experience was, and what type of book this is, but I'm kind of curious as to, tips on that.
Right. Well, I've had every role in the DMV. I was there for 25 years. I left as I was a manager over a couple of offices, and so I've every level I've actually done. Okay. And the name of the book is actually called "I Want to Talk to a Supervisor," and I call it that because in life we always look for supervisors to handle this problem. I want to talk to a supervisor. Give me a supervisor. We feel the supervisor can handle the situation we're at, but the book is actually telling us that we have to be the actual supervisors of our own life. Instead of looking for other people to provide answers, we have to provide the answers that we need, research and do it ourselves, because you can't depend on other people for the success that you want to have.
I like that. That's different than I expected. I thought it was going to be like the craziest things you've experienced at the DMV or something like that. I'm sure there is. I always wonder with jobs like that, or cab drivers, like anytime I get in a Lyft or a cab, I'm like, so what stories do you have?
How are the DMVs in California? Are they just as crazy? Or
they're terrible. Yeah. Yeah, I actually have to go soon because I got married like a month and a half ago, and I have to go change my name. And I think it's actually going to be in Los Angeles because we're moving to Los Angeles. And I think that's probably a whole nother level compared to Silicon Valley. But maybe I'll write a book.
My cousin, actually, he lived in Brooklyn. He just moved to Los Angeles. He said he loves it out there.
Okay. Well, I know that I'll love Los Angeles. I just, the whole DMV thing is all that I'm really worried about. All right. So we're talking books. What books would you recommend to anyone listening?
A book that really stays with me is called Mental Toughness for Success. Okay. And that's by Ivy Hilliard.
Okay.
And Vision by Miles Monroe. Those 2 books are books that I constantly go over and read, and they're both very inspiring to me. And it's something, it's meat. It's not just, words, motivation. They give you meat of how to do some of the things that you want to do with your life.
That's awesome. I've never heard of either of those books, so I really have to check them out. I get a lot of repeat answers when people give personal development books, but it's always intriguing to me when I'm like, I don't even know that author. So I'm excited to check those out. Very cool. One thing I'm curious about, after spending so much time working for the DMV and then doing this, I understand how you kind of got into it after watching people apply for jobs there. when you were younger, did you ever have like aspirations to start a charity or aspirations to do anything other than work at the DMV? Like, what did you kind of envision for yourself versus what you did for so long versus where you are now?
Yeah, one place I didn't envision myself was DMV.
Okay.
So
I've
the
never
place,
heard of many people like as little kids being like, this is awesome. I want to work for the DMV. But it
yeah.
takes all
I
kinds
mean,
of people. I'm sure there are some.
right, right, and it's some good, excellent people who work there. I met a lot of good friends, but for myself, I guess everybody would say when they work somewhere that they didn't really look forward to that. I didn't see myself there, but I really didn't see myself there. But I wound up being there, and I saw myself initially as a young kid playing football. Of course, I'm being in the NFL. Then
Okay.
as I got older, I got involved with music, hip hop music. I was dancing. I was doing a lot of dancing. I had the high top fade, like Kid and Play.
Yes.
So,
Awesome. Bring
uh,
it back.
but then as I got older, I really didn't have an aspiration to be an entrepreneur or start a business. I didn't see myself doing that. And
Okay.
mainly as I look back, my father, he actually did some entrepreneurial things, but we weren't really taught that in school. That's
Right.
for people who, they're special, something special about them. And that's really why I want to do the book and really want to do what I'm doing with this nonprofit. Because if you don't think you have options, then you don't even think it's a possibility for you. And if you don't think it's a
Right.
possibility, then you're not even going to attempt it. So, I would rather go hard in doing what I'm doing now than to just take it easy and do work for the DMV. And I could have stayed there for however long, retired, but that wouldn't have given me the joy and the pleasure that I receive now.
That's so awesome. So, if people are listening and they want to know where they can find all these books that you're involved in, or they want to be able to help in some way, where can they find you? Both like website, social media, and I'll put it all in the show notes too so that people can find it easily. But if someone's driving and listening or running and wants to know, where can they find you? And then how are different ways that, people can help with that suits you?
Yes, they can also always go to the website, www.thatsuitsyou.org. And also, we're very, 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 very active on social media,
Okay.
especially Twitter. That's how I linked up with you.
Yes.
But so they can go to our social media at, everything is very simple, at That Suits You, ThatSuitsYou. They can
Mhm.
see us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, see the work that we're doing, the videos, the people that have donated, the people that we give to,
Okay.
so they can see everything that we're doing. And we take donations through the mail. So if they want to mail suits in, they can contact us on the website, or they can make a financial donation on the website as well. We would take financial donations to help us to continue to do the work that we're doing.
That's really cool. And what if someone wants, for example, you to speak somewhere like you mentioned that you've been doing, is that all
Yes.
through That Suits You as well?
Yeah, they can go through the That Suits You website and fill out contact me through there, and definitely always looking to share my story, share the story of the organization, and just tell them, give motivation, give inspiration to some people that definitely need it.
Yeah, that's the whole point of this podcast. So I'm so glad that you're here.
Yes, definitely.
So if you don't know the answer, that's fine, but I think you might. What is your purpose?
My purpose in life is to inspire the next generation, teach them about options. One of the workshops we do, we call choice workshops, and we break
Mm-hmm.
down choice as far as change, habits, options, image, communication, and effort. And it's through those ways, through those words I just mentioned, that they can change their whole destiny, change their whole outlook on life just by knowing you have options and then
Mm-hmm.
acting upon those options.
That's awesome. And was that an acronym for choice too?
Yes, yes,
Okay, I
yes,
thought I caught that at the end. I'm like, oh, those those spell
yes,
choice.
yes.
Very cool. And that's awesome that, it's beyond just the clothes because obviously you can't just put someone in a suit and then they know how to behave in an interview or they feel confident enough to go in or So that's awesome that it's more of a full transformation versus just, here's your suit, good luck.
One of our mottos is we want to train the inner man and suit the outer man. So we can't just say teach them what to do and then don't give them the tools, and we can't just give them the tools and not teach them. So we want to do both. And so one of the ways we walk around, I don't know if you can see my shirt got suits, but
Yes.
we give these out. I got to get you a shirt. I got to mail you a shirt.
All right,
So,
I'll rock a shirt.
we walk around the city, and when we see guys wearing nice suits, we give them a card that says, "Hey, nice suit," and on the back it tells them how to donate the suits that they may have, the ties, and we use those to give the men that can use them.
Very cool. Now, you spoke a little bit about that author that you're working with and how it was 24 ladies and you, and that women have all these conferences and all of that, which is true. And it probably wouldn't go over as well if you're talking about a men's only conference to inspire other men. I think people would probably not appreciate that these days. But I'm curious, what about the ladies who need these same services? Is there a that dresses you?
We actually partner with it's two. Well, the main one worldwide is Dress to Success Women.
Okay.
They do some amazing work. Do some work together, and also in New York, Bottomless Closet, where they do the same type of work. So when we get women that request that, we refer them there, and when they get men, they also refer them to us. So we kind of work together.
That's awesome. It sounds like a perfect partnership.
Yeah, it does work out very well. We're not in competition with them. They're not in competition with us, but we're helping everybody.
Very cool. Do you have any favorite success stories? I don't want you to like spoil your book, but
so many. I would say, well, just this past summer, okay, we do a lot for proms. So proms is like the heavy, busy season. And
okay.
so organization that we work with, they did a women's conference.
Okay.
But during this conference, they also did a raffle. And one of the recipients of the raffle was a young man I told him we would give a suit. And so we drove out to his house in Long Island. We measured him for a suit, and the suit fit perfectly. And he was just so happy. So, I mean, just the joy coming from him really made our day. That, you know, it fit him perfectly too. One thing you don't like is a big suit on a guy. So this suit,
Yeah.
it fit perfect. He loved it. The parents loved it, and it just was an awesome experience this summer. I mean, we helped a lot of guys this summer, but for some reason that one kind of stood out.
That's very cool. I know of someone who started the Cinderella Project in Milwaukee, which is prom dresses and homecoming dresses that you can donate for the same purpose. So I didn't know that you also did formal dances, but it makes sense that, you know, feeling confident in your clothes and getting that feeling younger can kind of prepare you. And then he's got the suit to potentially wear to interviews later.
And he looks sharp in it too.
I believe it. That's awesome. So what is the scariest thing you've ever done? Was it scary to quit the DMV? And that doesn't have to be your scary, but I don't know how well you had things lined up to make the transition or.
I would say that was very scary. The night I actually left, I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep at all that night. I don't even know if I slept that week. But just the fact that, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years. It's something that, you know, that's basically what I knew. I mean, I always say one day I'm going to leave and do that suit you full time. One day. Yeah. But then when that day finally came, it was like, wow, you know, this is it. This is you at the free throw line. You know, this is this is it. This is your time. And just when it happened, it's just the nerves. I would say that definitely was the most scary, but at the same time, the most excited that I was, because it's something I'm embarking. You know, I read all the books, I heard all the tapes, I heard all the motivational speaking. I heard Tony Robbins, I heard, Gary Vee, I heard everybody say it, but now it's actually up the bat. What are you going to do? So I was excited about it as well.
That's awesome. If you were to give advice to someone who is listening to this that is maybe on the ledge in one way or another about to do something scary, how would you advise them to push past fear?
I always say, a lot of times people don't push past it because they think about where I'm gonna get the resources or where I'm gonna get this, where's this gonna come from. I always tell them it's like out here, in Long Island, they have at nighttime it's pitch black and you can't see anything. But as you get closer to the house, they have the motion detection lights, and as you get closer to the house, the lights automatically come on as it detects motion. I always tell people that's usually that's where your resources, your relationships, that's where everything you need is at. It's in the dark, and it's going to stay in the dark until you ignite those motion detection lights as you begin to walk in the dark to what you need. Then you'll see the resources and the people you need and the information you got to have. But as long as you don't walk and you keep being afraid of what might happen, you'll never trigger the lights to come on.
I have never heard that analogy, but I absolutely love it.
Thank you. Yeah. I found that to be so true. We always think about how are we going to get it? How is it going to happen? But it's never going to happen as long as you stay in the same spot. You have to trigger those lights to come on.
I love that. Very cool. What other advice do you have to share for anyone who's listening? Anything you've learned that's impacted you?
People talk about being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, and say, well, you should leave that job. Well, some people, that's something that they really want to do. If they really, it's not, being an entrepreneur is not for somebody who's just thinking about it as a hobby. If you're not really serious about making this jump, if this is not burning inside of you, the passion to do it, then it will be a mistake for you to actually do it, because this is not for the weak-minded. I mean, I always liken it to the lion in the zoo and the lion in the jungle. The lion in the zoo, if he doesn't have to roar, he doesn't have to chase anything. He doesn't have to do anything. He can just lay there and be a lion, and they'll feed him. But
it's
the lion in the jungle, the lion in the jungle don't have that choice. He has to roar. He has to fight. He has to stake his claim. He has to fight off the enemy. He has to. He will not enjoy what he has. So entrepreneur is being that lion in the jungle.
I love that. And so true. Thank you for sharing that. My last question that I'm going to ask is my favorite question. I used to just randomly ask people at parties, but it's a lot more fun when I'm talking to people who have, done really cool things with their lives, not to, downplay at the people that I've spoken to at parties. But if 8-year-old PK could hold a crystal ball and see where you are today on a scale of 1 to 11, how excited would little PK be for current PK?
He would be, I would say at 8, he probably would be excited about the level 8, because he wouldn't be able to understand yet the what's yet to come. There's so much more yet to come. He'd be excited about what's going on. Yeah. But this PK can understand and see how much more is in place and is on its way. So I can appreciate it more than he can. But he'll be very happy, very happy.
And what would you put current PK at?
11.
Okay, good. I had a feeling you would say that. So you're speaking a little bit about what's more to come, and we know that, there's 3 books on the way. What else is there that's on its way that we can look forward to seeing from you?
There's some major partnerships that we're actually working on and solidifying. Of course, we can't really go into it, but some major partnerships that I'm, working on. Some property that we're looking to acquire. So there's a lot of things that we're in the process of. But like anything else, it takes making the right moves, making the right decisions, being consistent. And the thing about it that makes me excited is my life for 25 years was pretty much, you could write it in the script, you know exactly what's going to happen. Yeah. Now, a week ago, I would not know I'd be on the Mandy Bryce show. I mean, so you never know. Never know. I'm telling you, I get emails every day that it can just change your life. So, and that's because of you're doing something and the lights continually coming on.
Yeah, you're moving toward those motion detectors.
Yep, exactly.
I love it. Well, I'm grateful to you for taking the time to come on the podcast. I'm grateful for what you're doing in the world and just the inspiration that you've given me today, and I know my listeners, and then all of the people whose lives you're touching. with that suits you. So thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right. I thought that was super inspiring, and I hope you did as well. It makes me wish that I had a bunch of suits lying around that I could just ship off and help people with. But since I don't, I am going to have to, just send a financial contribution. If you'd like me to send that in your name, please enter to win in the site at the show notes, which is also where you can find out the links where you can make donations if you don't want to count on winning. But that's at www.mandiem.com/episode 99, since this is the 99th episode. So make sure you check that out, and make sure you go and show PK and That Suits You some love on social media. Also, make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss the 100th episode coming up. Again, super pumped for that. If you don't mind, I would also love a review, so let me know what you think by going to iTunes and reviewing the podcast. And of course, share this to anyone, especially if they have a large closet full of suits that are still fashionable, but maybe they've lost a bunch of weight and they don't fit them anymore, or have decided they only want to wear robes like Hugh Hefner or whatever reason. But anyone who might be able to help out That Suits You would be an even better person to share this to. Or someone who is maybe interested in starting their own nonprofit. The list of people that you could share this with that would be awesome is probably endless, so you should probably just share it as much as you can. Anyway, if you are making bold moves, or you know someone who is, I would love to have you on the show, so please go to www.mandiem.com/guest, and that is where you can fill out an informational form so that I can have all of your stuff together for putting together the show notes, like the ones that I just mentioned. All right, stay tuned for episode number 100, which is the challenge from PK. And as always, be bold and have a sparkly day. Bye-bye.